수돈디런기니 둠비랑지란단 둠비랑기랑기 둠비랑지 수랑게티란데 둠비랑기 수랑준디랑기 둠비랑기란지 둠비랑단단지 숨딩기란단데 둠비온기란지 온디랑기란 tumbiranjiran, tumbirankiranjiran, tumbiranjairanti, tonkaendin, turangwa iranji, sumbirangirandi, tumbirankiachumbiran. Good morning. Good afternoon. I don't think it's actually quite afternoon yet, but getting there. Some people could argue happy brunch, however it is, even if we're not having lunch or breakfast. Either which way. It's good to see you today. We've been moving through a lot of things since we've been last speaking. A ton of things. It's been crazy. All kinds of nervousnesses, finding out if this has any kind of purpose within it, of the videos and all those things, how to continue to talk to the viewers, how to continue to even bring through anything. Sometimes it seems to me like perhaps it's a redundancy, but every moment brings through a different frequency, another way in which to speak that will bring through another angle of view that will help us see true through the sharing of our perspective and what's happening here on the journey. We've been having a lot of amazing learnings, and even this morning, so she turned on the camera. We've been having a lot of trouble for me lately with the camera, wanting to always appear and exude mastery, and so taking the form constantly of energy master instead of that, the learner, the grower, wishing to show something. And because I care about the wisdom, of course, I'm like, oh, well, I want people to know it's true, so this can hold up a chord shape of form, a fixation, a focus, a control, an expectation, a very hard chord shape to bring oneself to relax and out of control. And my entire practice is based on relaxation, based on the ability to release control, allow, surrender, let go. Surrender to what? The moment, the soul, your heartbeat within you, everything occurring around you simultaneously as you. You can feel so subtly everything, even the breeze that blows by you finally when you release yourself, open yourself to all the frequencies and equanimity. A lot of us have opened a ridiculous amount, and we don't know what to do with it. It's because we've opened a lot in many ways, but there's other ways we haven't opened, and that's judgment. We don't allow all of the frequencies within the eternal ocean of our consciousness to move through us uninhibited by our view, uninhibited by our observation. It's a softening of the gaze, a releasing of observation that will allow us to finally allow everything to express equally and truly as it is. And that doesn't mean that it fades away forever, but we see it no longer in a way, not in equanimity, that we see it always in equanimity, that we see it truly equally. So sadness can express as gladness, and madness and any other frequency within us. And we'll see that they actually don't have volatility. They're more like fun play actors, they just express energy as if they're silly nothingness, like the energy is simply an expression, emptiness in itself. It has no identity or form or reason to have labeling or judgment to be this way or that way. It's just an energy that moves like a play, like a dance. We can just allow it move through, and we don't have to judge it in our view. Eventually, maybe it is that we move it through so quick that we don't even see it. As we see it is because we have judged it, we have labeled it, we have caused reason to see it. Now, there's many things around us that may exude these frequencies for a very long time, but we have no judgment of these things, and we can allow them to move through us, and we can find healing easily through the realm of expression by just simply allowing ourselves to be. That only wishing ourselves to be a certain way causes us the dissonance and ignorance of focus. We can call suffering, oh, this person was this way around me and it hurt me. But you could have actually been the healing for that frequency. That was yourself that come to you, and yourself come to you because you were the one that had a beautiful view, you know. Maybe in this time you're the one that had this exact chord shape that it needed, and soon maybe you can find a different way that could be more beneficial for yourself, and that you don't have to do anything. You don't have to be in service. You don't have to not be in service. You don't have to do anything for anybody. And in some way, your genuinity, just by you authentically being, you'll see that you actually like expressing yourself in any um, particular situation, any scenario, and that when you do simply just do this, that you are healing. You are healing for everything, which is yourself. When you know yourself fully, you know, it's easy to love yourself, but also see that you're not enslaved to yourself. A lot of people think that we're enslaved to ourselves, that we are here to reach enlightenment, which is liberation, freedom, only to become a slave with it. But then that would be jumping right back into samsara, suffering, doing what you don't want to do, you know. And maybe you've chosen yourself to do want to do it, but you'll find that you're being actually, when you find who you are, without need for separating yourself from anything in this way, you find yourself in equanimity, free of judgment, free of binding, free of judgment from yourself and of everything. And you can really finally, truly be genuinely in your now moments. You'll find your expression naturally is healing for all the world, is in service to all the world, just by how it be's on its own. If you go and eat a cupcake, you will find that that is somehow service for all of the world, just by you being yourself in that moment. The universe may even pay you for it, and it may seem very interesting and silly, how ridiculously effortless. And then you may try to repeat this pattern, and that would create a fixation to form. So that's why formlessness is of necessity to this type of teaching of non-duality, to recognizing who we are. I myself have done this, and this is very difficult to speak anymore, or even know where to go. How do we go? Where do we go? What do we talk to the people about? Well, it's very simple. With anybody that you ever meet, it's very simple. You just talk about what's happening for you right then. And whenever I talk to somebody that I haven't talked to for a very long time, so I'm happy you're my somebody that I haven't talked to for a long time in this way, so directly. The only way for me to come direct with them is if I clear up all of the energy of the past, all of the thoughts that were within, all of the agitations in which had stopped me from saying hello to my dear friend. So I'm sorry I didn't say hello to you. I was very ego arrogant, or I was very sure that you didn't like me. I was very this way or very that way, and I was unsure how to speak to you about it. And so every time I said something to you, I said hello to you, but I had the other story with me, so it didn't feel true. It was fake or something. I didn't want to do anything with it. I couldn't look you directly in your face. I'd only look at you in my periphery. I ever notice anybody do that to you, where they cannot any longer look at you? Perhaps it is that something extra is there, something that could be said. And maybe it is true, actually. Maybe they have seen something wrong of you, and it is true of you. They don't want to tell you. Or maybe it's not true. Who knows? We're not sure. But either way, communication could be had with this thing. And you'll find that if anybody ever does tell you the thing where they are upset with you, and they've been upset for a long time, it might be the very first time they look you in your eye for a very long time. It's very strange that. And we don't notice it. It seems like just a social thing. Maybe they were just angrier than usual, so they wanted to cause us pain, so they looked at us so we had that pain more, you know. But no, actually, it's a much more subtle thing. Maybe they themselves are not so intelligently clever and manipulatively able to control themselves in places of high tension and great emotion. Maybe they in that time are more spontaneously responding to just whatever stimuli is happening, just reacting, as some people would say, instead of responding, as others would say. I'm not too great on changing these distinctions. I say respond or react, however it is that feels most authentic. Whatever it is, it'll lead to the great thing. If you just keep allowing yourself authentic expression, it will have easement. And if you're not able to be there long enough to find the full cycle play itself out, then you'll not be able to see the wisdom played out in full in that scenario. So it might take a few scenarios before the whole cycle gets played out, and then maybe you'll see the wisdom, and maybe you'll feel like it was too late, but it'll be okay. It'll be exactly the right way. Maybe it is that you thought it could go better so you could be with your friend, but maybe your friend was not able to learn as fast as you at this time, and actually would not have been able to be the way that you wish. And so this was a great thing, because now, even though the bridge is burned, it maybe needs to be, because your loyalty and your love may be an ignorant compassion that would keep you in a frequency maybe that would lead you into great suffering. But you've just learned something. Maybe you learned it the hard way, but you have learned something, and so now you're moving on to new experiences and new frequencies, new vibrations, new things that align with where you are in the homeostasis of yourself, your vibration, your voltage, your electricity, your gauge, your frequency, your positioning within reality. And so because your voltage has changed, homeostasis will lead you to the voltage which matches you. And that'll be our next set of experiences for your place in growth that you come to. Maybe they seem like small places in growths, and then sometimes big jumps in growths, and then you think you've fallen back. But no, the big jump is still there. You're just working through all kinds of other things now with the big jump there as well. Like, so you got this nice sturdier base to work with. It's a very beautiful thing, and maybe we can't see it in our places of confusion and shadow and darkness, but it's a very beautiful thing. We'll always make it through, no matter what occurs. Even if we seem to not make it through by the judgments of the ego mind, we change form from this place to that, no big deal. These changes of form, we are eternal. Our consciousness is pure awareness, completely liberated beings, phenomenal, free, enlightened in every way. And we will always be this way, no matter what is happening to form. And if we find this out, we can actually relax so much within our form that the causes or the needs or the karmas that would create the needs for certain reflections of relevance to benefit our journey and learning and growth would no longer be necessary for us. Nothing that happens not on purpose. It is happening for us in every way, in a very amazing, precise manner that is helping us see very, very clearly, very uniquely, very diversely, very, very specifically to each one of us individually. And its relevancy is of the greatest necessity. If it be of not relevance to anything within reality, it will not be here. And it actually has to be relevant to every single piece. Everything must oscillate on its piece of information. There must be a reason why it is here. If there's not reason for it to be here in that way, then it even itself would not wish to be here. We only have this amazing drive to be a benefit, and you'll find that the deepest thing inside is always for us, never against. Even in the ways in which we see the play entail, the story painted in the picture in the mirror of against, there's not an against occurring. And so when we finally find that piece of learning, it will be a great softening for us. And then we can immediately, when we have this direct experience, this realization well up from within us, this embodiment of knowing, it's then easy now. You see, like, oh man, of course it even appears just like a fight, two clashing energies. And still there's not a fight occurring. And it's like, oh, it's the most strange and crazy thing, and so you can relax away from it. And you don't even have to approach it. Maybe there is a fight, in some way, a clashing of energy, two vibrations are coming together, meeting perfectly in some way, in symbiosis with each other, in homeostasis. You don't have to respond to it the same way that was previous, to where this harm is occurring or this negative thing is happening, this thing that needs to be controlled or changed from the place of wrongness is there, or rightness. Instead, you can work with this more like computer style, or like analytically, or logically, or softly, in a way of a great calmness, and centering, to where when you go up, your frequency is very much at easement of the other frequencies around it. It's not adding to the fight and story of that agitated frequency and energy. Instead, it's standing like a stillness inside of a sea of ever-changing. I had a being come to me in this way, like a mountain it was, in this crazy frequency of life all around me, and how amazing it was, like God or something, Maui embodied, like an amazing guardian. I bowed my head in great humility. At that time I had been crying for great forgiveness for what I had thought I had done for all of consciousness, but what it was just getting me to accept something unacceptable by me in some way. So unable was I to move through this I would be always limited and blocked by this, and in some way, this place in which we came to today, speaking to you in this manner and coming real with you and telling you of the nervousnesses and all the different wishes to hold card shapes and show for the purpose of this wisdom myself in great ways, making it harder to be relaxed and to show my face and come direct with you here in this place where we are in grace. And so it can be difficult to really follow the flow. It can be difficult to allow everything to go out, to allow yourself to be authentic, to be true, to be humble, to come to acceptance, I just replayed and shortcap all the different pieces or something in some way so I could find out where we were. And here we are with the man, the guardian, the humility, the coming to acceptance of something that previously was unable, because without that, I would not have been able to expand myself past that form, that limitation, that boundary, which was that fear. And so, you could go ahead and act like you could accept the fear some other way. Perhaps somebody could. But for me, the only way for me to be able to accept this particular fear was to believe it was true. And so that's what acceptance was and is. It's accepting it in actuality. Like, oh, if we are truly in a world of limitless possibility, then it's possible. Then everything is occurring and has occurred and will infinitely occur in every way possible. That would be strange if we oscillated on such a point of positioning. We can pray for other things if we wish, but that would also maybe be a point in judgment and a point of non-duality, of non-judgmental consciousness, pure awareness. Maybe we would see no reason to govern itself in this way. But we are very lucky to see that actually the original intention is for everything in such a way that it is a perfecting system, that not just perfecting, but it's perfect. It's a perfect system. And it's been perfect since the very start, and it moved in the very start in a perfect way, in a limitless manner, in a limitless form, and it moved in a way that was for all of itself equally. And so that's every one of us individually and each one of us together, no matter how many of the combinations we conglomerate ourselves into. But nothing separately, you see. Nothing diversely inequally. That would be impossible for us to do, for we. There's not an ability for that as we are one. It seems kind of way too simple for the multiplicity and diversity in which we seem to be experiencing the expression of our singular energy. And still, we are a singular force, moving with itself in the most phenomenal fashion, working with each one of our pieces, growing ourselves, learning ourselves, moving out of the veils of ignorance or the denser frequencies through authentic learning that brings true sturdy, true foundation, not just going up on an idea and hanging out in the sky, but coming, down, from the ground to the mountain high. It took me a second to trust those syllables there. I was really, the greater you trust, the easier it goes, The greater you trust, the easier it goes. And so we're coming deeper into trust, allowing ourselves to become more and more authentic, to where we're not governing ourselves anymore. Allowing our face to move again, like, oh yeah, okay. It's okay, maybe you think I'm crazy, no big deal. Remember I used to say that before. But that's the type of thing that you would say to allow yourself to open the door, because those are the types of thoughts that would close it. And so you just go ahead and let it be here, present within the ocean, transparent and in clarity. Then you allow yourself easily to not be blocked by it, because that thought, that voice, that activation through the throat is the movement of that energy, very clear, very effortlessly. It's something that we could all do very easily, moving it from the void out. But we don't usually let ourselves succumb to honesty in our cultures, in our religions, in our traditions, in our places in the world. There's a conservatism, there's a big hurry as well, we don't have a lot of time to listen to each other either. But we don't want to hear certain things. We have a lot of judgment, only certain things. There's curse words, there's this word, there's that word. You got to say the right thing, you got to be smart, you got to be this way, you got to be that way. Want to be socially accepted if you say that, so we got to govern our voice. We can't say rape, we can't say kill, we can't say murder, we can't say all kinds of words. And these words are just the same as everything you see here. They are Emptiness. Yeah, empty. We put meaning to things, we give power to things. But still, those things are not really empowered in some manner. I mean, we give it power in our own mind. We think that maybe we give it power to something else, like, oh, I've made this gasoline God. Everybody that goes by this gasoline will now know it to be God because I have empowered it to be so. And if I speak it to them, now they will know they will worship this gasoline. Sure, maybe. Maybe that's the possibility that you are the manipulator, controller, manifester of all reality. You are greater in your quantum observation than others. When you observe reality, you observe it so much greater that another person might fall into your great trap. If anybody does fall into a trap of your own, then you can be sure that you are in symbiosis. You are both trapped in that trap already. You are both seeing that you are both trapped in the trap together at this time. You may think because you're the one who came out of the trap first that you trapped the other individual, but they are trapped too, and everybody's trapped. Of course, we can share with each other, and I'm not saying everybody's trapped like forever or something, but if you happen to have yourself in a looping reality, we could express that to be trapped in some way. A looping cycle, a downward spiral. And in some manner, we could always bring it to non-duality, into equanimity, and say how we can't actually make these confident distinguishments when it comes to who we are actually as pure awareness, as at that point is in ever stillness. And still we can explain the book of change. We can explain the way in which life has been observed to move. And so mindfulness is very wonderful. Mindlessness is an interesting thought. Lose the mind, find the heart. Mindfulness is heartfulness. In Buddhism, the mind is the heart. So I do believe that mindfulness is usually derived from this practice in Buddhism. So perhaps it is that they mean heartfulness. But still, it could be a purist mind, because we don't see that this thought, this voice, this line, this place we all come from here, presence, is the heart. Everything is the heart. They say as all play of Pamas and Bhava's mind is the heart. And so through this amazing use of this void space, this throat chakra, this honest authenticity, this integrity, we can actually come to clearing of everything within us and see, oh, I was just simply afraid to be myself. And because I was afraid to be myself, I was afraid to know myself first, because I thought I was bad. I didn't want to know who I was. I thought I was an evil, terrible thing, a sinner, like they told me. It'd be very scary. Most people think of themselves this way, that they're going to be very evil. I remember thinking of myself this way. I was looking in the mirror of my consciousness. I was looking into a real mirror of my face, and I was seeing that I would see through medicine ceremony patterns and things. Maybe I would have my true face revealed to me. Showed me I was always afraid to look in the mirror, even though I was always enticed to look in the mirror too, so it's interesting. But when I was very young, they made it seem like it was wrong for me to look in the mirror. In some way, this was a very good thing for my future, because this wrongness, this curiosity would be born of this rejecting, repelling energy, which would cause my face to turn towards it. And so you can find that everything in life, no matter if it seems to be a fallacy or whatever it is, a fallacy or whatever it is, can actually be eventually seen to be the great perfection in play, moving us exactly the way in which we each personally need to be moved, and where we can finally be turned to look at our face directly, come authentically. Finally my curiosity of knowing was so great, because the fear they had created in me from my experiences previous had created a distortion of my reality, as I saw everything to be fake around me, and the fear of what it meant and not knowing bore such a ridiculous curiosity in me that I had to know who I was. I had to know. And then finally, through seeing myself so beautifully, I started to finally gain courage to look into the mirror. I would growl, and it would be crazy, like a demon might be coming out at me. And it was so kind of just like how funny it looked for me to do that to myself too. There was that stillness side that was in the pure awareness side, just looking at it like, how silly a thing is that for me to be growling at myself like I'm an animal or something, like as if I don't know myself, like, what, am I an animal in this moment? Like it really just seems more like a play, like you're kidding around or something. But also there's this feeling of great seriousness, like it's very real. What is this? This great fear of this strange realness. You could actually like imagine like you're like the Buddha with a clown mask on, or just making funny faces at yourself just to show you how silly it is that you're scared of your beautiful face making silly faces. How ridiculous is it? And so as I growled and went through this mask of shadow, which was just myself making faces, very much not actually full of anything really aside from whatever I would storyline or identify it to look like. And finally, I saw the great beauty of how I was written. I saw how everything stemmed from a very center. I could see then the patterns, how they reflected my entire life cycle. I could see so many things, how everything reflected on every part of my being and how they wrapped around me as rainbow light vestures of writing and pseudo spaces, the surface area that bounced off of me that allowed me the ability to come to such seeing, and just how amazing humans were because of the surface area that was written upon their flesh. How we were wrapped, the blueprint of our flesh is so amazing. Out come the dragon, but such a beautiful, benevolent force. So gorgeous, so powerful. That night was full of extremely powerful frequencies as I was seeing myself finally, directly, fully. I came to a place that night that was mirrored in physical reality, all of consciousness, where people had built it to reflect the Fibonacci sequence. And that is a very difficult simplicity in which to form. Surely, it was in the back of the building. It was not the front of the building. It was not that they maybe purposely did this, but that's just the